And we're live. Good evening, everybody. It's Photography Live and Uncut again. Friday evening, isn't it great? Got the weekend. I just don't know where this week's gone, actually. It's been such a fantastic week for me. I met in person Michael Kenner with a book signing in London, which was a great experience for me. But this week on Friday evening show, got a great guest for you, a street photographer who was introduced to me by my good friend Alex Lambrex. He's based in Poland. Street photographer, documentary, and lifestyle photographer. It's Tomasz Lazar. Welcome to my show, Tomasz.
Hi, very nice to meet you.
Yeah, lovely. It's great. Thanks so much for joining us. He's just literally finished a tutorial and come straight from there to be on the show with me. So many thanks for doing that.
No problem.
Tomasz, let's get straight into it. This love of street photography that I have, you obviously have got as well. What is the lure? What attracts you so much to street photography?
You know, I really like to spend time with people and observe people. And when you go to streets, it's like amazing. You are inside this kind of live organism. And what I really love is spending 8 to 10 hours on a street. If I have free time, because if you go to an assignment, you got 2-3 hours. But if I'm free, I can go 6 to 10 or 10, and it's really amazing how you can observe light, how people are changing, everything. So it's pure life.
Exactly. Whereabouts are you based in Poland? Where do you predominantly do your street photography?
I'm based in Szczecin. It's my city when I was born. It's around 150 kilometers from Berlin. For 1.5 years I was living in Warsaw, but then I moved back to my city.
Yeah. And you've found out you're 29, you've been taking photographs since 2006, and looking at your website, you've basically year on year won some kind of an award, which is an amazing feat. How did photography start for you?
It was a really amazing story, because in 2006, when I was traveling with my girlfriend, now my fiancée, we were traveling to Barcelona.
Yeah.
I didn't have any camera, so my parents told me that they will buy me a camera. It was Nikon D50.
Right.
So I took my camera. We went to the trip for, I think it was like 2 weeks, and I didn't know how the camera works. So I took all my shots with auto.
Yeah.
And after coming back, I started thinking I would like to know more, because some of the images were blurred, so some were out of focus. So I started reading books and get more and more into this photography world. And now I'm only, because I finished information technology as my studies.
Yeah.
So I discovered photography during my studies. So this was quite interesting, because I prefer walking 6 hours and spending time with people than sitting 6 hours in front of the computer.
Yeah.
But this is kind of funny thing, because even if you are now a photographer, then you need to sit for some time in front of your computer to develop your images.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're spending a lot of time doing that now, aren't we? In the old days where you used to do the photographs and give it to your printer and say, like, do this, do that, thank you very much. But now we're for those that are producing their own work, there's one thing which I really want to start doing more, actually, is printing more work. I haven't done a lot of that in the last year or so. But so from the Nikon D50 though, you switched to Canon, is that right?
Yeah, I switched to Canon, but before Canon I was working on film cameras, because I still have my personal darkroom. What I really loved was developing films. I still remember how I developed my first film, and I did the prints with a magnifier.
Right.
So it was quite amazing. It gave me a lot of experience to work with the digital cameras. But yes, after that I switched to Canon.
And can I ask the reason for switching from Nikon to Canon? Was there a particular reason for it?
Yeah, I was really interested with a full frame camera. Because the D50 was a very small one.
Yeah.
And when I was working, as I remember, it was Nikon F5 film camera. So the viewer was much bigger.
Yeah.
And working with this kind of camera was much better to me. That's why I decided to switch from Nikon to Canon. But after I switched, Nikon released full frame, so it was great.
Exactly right. Again, Nikon followed afterwards, didn't they? Exactly. Typical. Typical of that. Expensive cameras though, the full frame. Nikon D50 was the first digital SLR camera that I bought, with a couple of lenses, and before we realized, as I told you, I'd be carrying around a low pro bag with several bodies and several lenses before I saw the light. One camera, one lens was what I decided to move towards. So from the situation now, you're using the Canon, and what sort of lens would you have on your Canon there going around doing your street photography?
I think 35 is everything what you need.
Yeah.
It's quite a very typical 35, because with 35 you can create a very good portrait, some kind of landscape, or very dynamic scenes. So it's very good lens to build all those kind of different images on a street. But if I'm thinking about other situations, 28 or 50. So mainly 35, but 28 and 50, sometimes it depends on situation.
So really nothing bigger in terms of focal length than 50 millimeters. You're not a 7300 type zoom user, or maybe I don't know, anything bigger than that?
I really don't use the zoom lenses.
Right.
I use only zoom lenses when I'm doing commercials.
Right.
In a studio or other stuff, but mainly I'm working on fixed lenses. I prefer working on a fixed, because fixed lenses sometimes you need to think when you are working with a fixed lens, because with zoom lens you can zoom and you are closer.
Yeah.
And the best zoom for me are your legs, because you need to get closer to change the point of view.
Yeah.
And it changes everything. So that's very good to work with fixed lenses.
So you trained in IT, from what you mentioned earlier on, and then by the sound of things, you've made a switch into commercial photography. Is this your full-time work now in with regards to bringing the money in for commercial photography?
Yeah, because I had to make this kind of decision if I want to work as a information tech programmist or graphic designer, or working as a photographer. So I decided at the beginning to work with commercials like wedding, portraits, but my main goal was working with editorials, lifestyle photography.
Yeah.
So now I'm working with, like, for example, New York Times or other magazines or newspapers. Yeah. So this is what I was really interested in.
Yeah, that's as they say in America, you hear it used quite a bit. It's a good segue you say there. Let's go and do your a screen share here and bring up your website, because we can touch on that editorial work as well. If you just bear with me, I'll get the your page up, and I'll keep the screen on me. So you should be now seeing in actual fact your bio page.
Yes, I can see it.
You can see that, yeah. So let me just. There we go. I can see this screen better now. Just move it to the side a bit. Yeah, this is for the viewers. You can see basically here that since 2006 through to 2014, Tomasz has picked up some kind of an award, which is just purely amazing when you think that he picked up a camera for the first time in 2006. That is just one hell of a track record there, Tomasz. That's amazing. So let's well done. Let me go to I'm just doing this now for the viewers, Tomasz. So when you come onto his site, it's this area that you want to look at, personal, and he's got two main bodies of work here, which Tomasz is going to talk through some images for us, and then I'll drop down to the editorial, because then you can see some of the work that he's had published. So Tomasz, tell us about Theatre of Life. What this section of your website? What is this all about?
So Theatre of Life is my longest term project. I started this project in 2008.
Yeah.
If you go to all, we could see all images, and I will show you the first image that started. In the fifth row.
Yeah.
Second column, there is a girl. Yes, this image.
This one here.
Yeah.
Getting splashed by the waves. Yeah.
So the girl on the breakwater. This was the first image that started Theatre of Life, because for me this project is like observing the daily life, what is happening now and how it's changing. My main goal is like searching the surreality in the daily life,
I'm
because
with you.
for me a lot of things now is changing and people are more involved by technology, media,
Yeah.
like kind of manipulation. So I'm trying to observe the kind of strange situations in a daily life and create this project like Theater of Life.
Yeah. And let's talk about this image here. How did this come about? Was it just as we see it, you're walking past and there's these guys are taking photographs of this girl, or was it set up?
All of the images in theater are not set up. They are
Right.
unposed.
Okay.
Because this image was quite funny story, because when I was near the coast, my father called me and told that the storm is coming from the
Yeah.
sea. So with my friends, we decided to go there. And suddenly, one girl came to the breakwater and she decided to feel the atmosphere of the storm. So she went to the end of the breakwater and stood there for, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes. And all
Yeah.
the photographers started taking pictures of her. So it was
Amazing.
like
Yeah.
from kind of Hitchcock movie.
Yeah, exactly. Good job. She wasn't swept away.
Yeah, I was really terrified because it was very dangerous. If
Yeah,
the wave
sure.
would take her, she would be dead.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
all the guys started taking pictures of her.
Yeah.
And I thought it could be quite funny idea to make the picture of the guys
Yeah.
and see her also.
Is this a film shot or a digital shot?
This is digital shot.
This is digital. Okay. There's a reason I asked that for, because of they say noise in digital terms, but there's a grain effect to the image here. And when we go back and start looking through your work here, I think this has a tendency to repeat quite a bit, this grain effect that you bring to your imagery, which I love. It is not a criticism at all of your work. I love to see grain in especially mono work. So I'm just gonna you just carry on talking about your images here, Thomas. If there's one particular image you want me to stop on, just shout out, because this is a great body of work. I love this image here.
So this is, for example, from wedding.
Yeah.
I was doing one of the weddings, and I spotted this situation, and I decided to create this kind of image because the boy was really amazing.
Yeah.
But with the Theater of Life, part of the images are made with digital, part of them are made on the film.
Mm-hmm.
But with this project, I'm doing this for 6 years, and now I have around 35 images. So I'm not trying to rush with this project. I'm trying to create very strong images,
Yeah.
which are fitting each other and telling this kind of story, which is inside this project.
Yeah. Great eye contact you got here with the little boy, and look at that strong hand of the man standing next to him. It's
Yeah.
that's a nice little link there between the two. I can't quite work this one out. It looks like it's some kind of a sphere or a ball.
Yeah, you can see here
Some kids playing around this ball or something.
you know zorbing, when people are going inside the spheres and they are walking on the water.
Yeah.
This kind of Jesus Christ style.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, so here you can see 3 spheres. One is
Yes.
on the left, in the center is the second one, and the third
Right.
is on the right. And you've got 3 childs.
And they're all bumping into one another. That's why they're on the deck there. Yeah. So.
Yeah, this is, for example, a shot from Warsaw.
Yeah.
So sometimes what I'm really all the time learning is that you need to be very humble with street photography, because sometimes you can walk for 6 hours
Yeah.
and you will not shot any interesting image.
Yeah.
But the next day you can have 3 or 4 images which
Exactly
are
right.
very interesting.
Yeah, you make a very good point of taking your time rather than just sort of, as a lot of people would do, just blast away and take everything that's moving, basically.
Yeah, with street photography you don't have to rush, because
Exactly.
the street is a very intense place with a lot of energy, but you need to be very calm inside you to be able to spot this kind of interesting situations which are happening on the street.
Yeah.
Otherwise you will be distracted by yourself because you are very nervous and you don't know what to do.
Yeah. This is why I was talking to you earlier on before we came on the show about this movement that you're creating in your images here, which just adds another dimension to the image.
Yeah, this is, for example, image which I took in Venice.
Yeah.
And it was only one shot. I was passing by this cook with my two friends, and I used it with a flash, and they told me that I should stop and look at this guy because he spotted that I took this image 3 or 4 minutes after taking the image.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people are so much inside themselves
Yeah.
that they cannot see that you were taking the portrait of them or
That's
the
very true.
situation.
Yeah. After the show, I'll show you a shot that I took in Venice myself. Similar style. Don't let me forget. I'll be very interested to hear what you have to say about it.
No problem.
I see a lot of cross section here of imagery that, for instance, the one that you took in Warsaw. There's a little bit of a brassai effect there. That one earlier on, and this one here. I don't know, I'm getting a little bit of a Soul lighter effect here. I know this is mono, and Soul was known for his reds and his Kodachrome, and it's these reflections which you're building off the windows. It's
I think, for example, at the end, because my goal is to produce a book of Theater of Life.
Yes.
I will cut those images to make this project much stronger. So probably some of the images will go off from the project.
Yeah.
Even if I like them very much.
Yeah.
But now I'm still developing it, so hope to finish it.
It's a lovely project. I can see this developing, and as you say, you've been doing this for how long? 6 years, you say?
Yeah, 6 years.
6 years, yeah. I just love the movement. You know, this is what street life, street photography to me is all about. The street is moving.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm involved in the 100 portraits of strangers, and on my last week I interviewed Mark Rierson, who's just completed his 100 strangers project. But there are other things going on in the street. All this movement is just great. It's just great because look at this. This is a puddle.
Yeah, this is a reflection in the puddle on Times Square.
And then back to, that was the one which we started off, that's why. Now, I saw this one earlier on. It looks like a fight's ensued and someone's come off worse for wear.
Yeah, all the people are thinking that it was kind of gang fight.
Was it?
But
yeah.
This is a situation before Halloween in New York.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, the guy was covered with artificial blood.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. So it wasn't a real fight.
Yeah.
Love the handprints on the windows there. Movement again in the lights there.
Yeah, this is, for example, film camera.
Yeah.
Because even with street photography, I'm very inspired by movies. This recognized me. I don't know if you have seen The Seventh Seal of Ingrid Bergman.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
So sometimes, if you are looking, for example, on photographies made by Elliot Erwitt, you can see a lot of signs or symbols inside the images. Yep. So it moves, I think, the street photography to the higher level. That it's not only observing, but the photographer is giving you kind of interesting thoughts inside the image. And this makes, because the beauty of street photography is, if you will put those kind of symbols or signs, it makes much stronger and much better.
The last image of this set, I went to see a band once when I was in Wiesbaden. I can't remember what they were called. I think they were called the Presidents or something like that.
Yeah, the Presidents. Exactly.
Is that them?
No, it was the situation on the street.
Okay, and I remember this guy coming on and he had this huge eye on his head, you know, and he sat in a cube and sang something weird. Most weird concert I've ever been to. Let's look at the other project, Coastline. And again, we're seeing life here. I suppose you couldn't really call it street life, but it's observational, it's documentary type work again. Where are these images taken? In your country or?
Yeah, the Coastline is my first long-time project, which I started 2007, 2008.
Right.
And I think 95% of this project is made on film.
Right.
This was a project about the daily life and the daily life of fishermen families,
Yeah.
uh, which is happening there near the coastline.
Yeah.
Because what is really interesting, the tourists which are spending vacation time are very close to Polish fishermen, and they are not paying attention to each other. It's kind of interesting relation. That's why I decided to
Yeah.
make this project. I spent 3 years
That's a lovely image.
on
Lovely.
this work.
He's repairing his net there, I assume.
Yeah.
Beautiful shot. The light, you caught the light on his face there, just
So
nicely.
what I can tell that the beauty, for example, of street photography is that the street images you can take also not only on a street but on a beach.
Yes.
In the village, whatever you want, because the street photography is kind of combination of strong moment, beautiful beautiful light composition, that all these situations are coming together, and this is the beauty of street photography.
Yeah, sure.
So if you are not living in a city, it's not a problem, because I have a friend who is living in a village and he's making amazing street photographies.
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
And with the street photography is that it's because for 13 years I was practicing ballroom dancing. And with street photography, it's like a very good practice to your eye, because eye in photography is like a muscle that you need to train all the time to make it a very good fit. And street photography is very good exercise.
Yeah.
To be able to spot all the situations which are happening very fast.
Every time you go out, you take a camera, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
sorry, go on.
Yeah, nowadays, if you have also with your phone, for example, you have also
exactly, yeah. With your iPhone or any kind of smartphone will do the trick for you. I've just switched over to your editorial pages because there's some great storylines here which you've been involved with, and with some well-known newspapers as well. This one's the International Herald Tribune, as you can see, and this article here, you took this photograph to do with Kosovo. Can you tell us about this, Tomasz?
I was sent to Kosovo to make a work about daily life situation of Serbian minorities in Kosovo.
Yeah.
So I spent there 4 days, 4 very intense days, but the place is really amazing. People are very friendly. And I really enjoyed the time. So what I took my Canon and Fuji X100S because I'm working on two camera bodies, and make this body of work which they really liked. It was on the front page of International Herald Tribune, and it was also spotted on Time Lightbox.
Right.
So it was quite very nice recognition. Yeah.
It went well. Let's move on to the next article. Which article is it? Is this one? Is it this image down the bottom here?
Yeah, this one with the Jesus at the bottom.
Yeah.
Because this was work about a situation in Warsaw.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, I shot this with also Fuji X100S.
Yeah.
And this was shot with the converter 28mm. I received it 1 week before this work, so I decided to try it, and it was very nice. But this was also kind of like the Kosovo work. It was like daily life, observing situation, like using the street photography to making this body of work.
Yeah.
The same here in the work about Roma people living in Slovakia. You can see at the bottom the children in the class. So also the same, that work about observing the daily life in Slovakia, spending time with people and trying to catch the topic of the project, which I was involved.
And that comes back to the image you've done before.
Yeah.
Great, great editorial work here. Great editorial work. Let me come out of screen share because you've now started to talk about the Fuji X100S.
Yeah.
And everyone knows they listen to my show. I'm a Fuji user as well. How can I put it? This group of cameras which they're now creating, Fuji. There's a number of professional photographers that are now switching into the X series. I think mainly because of the quality of the image that can be created, but at the same time the lightness of the gear. Are you finding that you're doing more work with your X100S than your DSLR?
Yeah, I think, yeah, for example, now I started, or half a year ago, I started a project about my city.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 90 or 95% of the images is made with Fuji X100S.
Yeah.
Because I have two converters, the 50 and 28.
Yeah.
And for me, it's really great. It works very good. What I really love with the Fuji is the quality, which gives me the sensor inside, because you can work on a very high ISO, but also how the sensor is working with different type of lights, because sometimes with other cameras you can have the problem that here is red light, blue light, and then you've got this kind of problem how to fix the image with the white balance with Lightroom or Photoshop. With Fuji, it works really amazing.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. The way they've actually set the sensor up, personally, I think that the way they set it up was to get it to the sensor to operate along the lines of what the Fujifilm used to do with the green bias with regards to its. It was great for the landscape photographers, and I think because of that and the fact that they've removed the filter in the front of it, has sort of just added to the film effect that you get from the images that are created. And we talked about noise and grain before in some of your images. That's exactly what it looks like, isn't it? It looks like grain. It doesn't look like that the image is just disintegrating in front of you. It's got a really decent feel to it.
Yeah, what I really like is I told that if you are even putting the ISO very high, for example, 6400.
Yeah.
When I'm looking on the image, the artificial noise, we could say, looks like a grain. It don't looks like something that you have a problem, that it looks very artificial and kind of strange.
Yeah. I've been doing quite a bit of night photography myself recently, going on some walkabouts in London, and I've basically found that this is me just experimenting at the moment. I've been setting the camera on the manual settings, aperture and the shutter speed, and I've been letting the camera decide what ISO to choose to balance the image. And a lot of the settings, obviously, it comes out at 6400 on the X100S, and as you say, it just looks like 1600 ASA film, doesn't it? That you experience in the Kodak film.
Yes,
it's just perfect. Talking very quickly about your photography and your images, it's all mono. Do you get in touch with? Do you do? I know there's a couple of color photographs there in the Tribune article, but is your work is predominantly mono by the looks of things?
When I was starting, it was mainly mono, but now I'm working also more and more in color, because what I think is if you try color, it's also developing your sense of photography, because if you are paying more attention to color, it develops your black and white, and if you are working black and white, it develops in color, because it's kind of interesting, but both things are working with each other.
Do you find, though, for instance, I find it better for me to compose an image as it is in mono. So my settings on the Fujis would be set for RAW plus JPEG, and I'd be either using the mono with the yellow or the green filter, whichever I prefer at the time. I very rarely use the red filter on it. Is that a way that you work yourself, or do you find that you just stick with what you're seeing on the back of the camera? Do you get with regards to the image you're seeing is color, so you see it on the back of the camera?
I'm not switching to black and white, but I have this kind of sense that if I'm taking the image, I'm sure that the image will be good in black and white when
Yeah.
I'm putting the shutter. I'm 95 or 99% sure that this will be the image which I was searching for.
Yeah.
And then I'm only developing it like in the darkroom to change it to more black and white.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's interesting actually how Lightroom behaves actually, because as soon as you upload or download your images from your card into Lightroom, they all show as mono images until you basically take them into the develop module, and then they switch to the color. That's how my Lightroom is set up. Invariably, I'm switching it back into the mono to make the adjustments. Although there are a number of images just recently which I found I prefer to see in color. So it's great to have that option to work that way. And I think at the end of the day, it's each to their own how they operate their camera and what they see better. So it's let's talk about your workshops, Thomas. Predominantly at the moment, you're doing your workshops in your country. Have you done any workshops anywhere else in Europe? Did you do one in Berlin?
No, I made one in Austria this year. Yeah, I was invited to Austria to lead 2 workshops.
Yeah.
But from time to time, I received questions about doing a workshop in Paris, London.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to gather a group, maybe to, for example, go to London.
Yeah.
Or even if there will be a lot, for example, 8 people interested in doing workshops in London, then I can go to London and make this kind of, because normally I'm doing 2 to 3 day very intense workshops.
Yeah. And what do you think? What are you offering in your workshop? What do you think the I'm going to use the word student, the photographer, is looking to gain from a workshop run by Tomasz Lazar?
What I think what is very important is to give at the beginning the background, so a little bit of history and how to create strong images, so technical stuff. Because even if we can start talking about the great masters of painting, so they were very good at technical level, and then they started to developing their own style.
Yeah.
So giving this so my workshops are like combination of technical and practice. Half of the day is technical, and then the other is practice. And all the time we are discussing, exchanging, because even the students or people which are attending my workshops can give me a lot of interesting information.
Best way, isn't it, when you're doing something that you love and you're teaching, and at the same time you learn from students.
Yeah, this is amazing. But what I'm trying to do is to open minds of people that you can take a lot of inspiration, not only from also photography, but from painting, books, music, trying to enjoy the life, but also showing the images and showing the way how they should develop. Because I used to have some of people that were asking me to learn them how I'm making black and white images. It's kind of strange because I see the world in this kind of thing, and it's impossible to learn the way of seeing. It's in my brain, so
exactly right.
Yeah, but I'm trying to find how the strong things in their style and learn to develop. Because when I was attending a workshop with Lorenzo Castore, he was a photographer from VU agency, and he also told that the main thing is try to find the strongest things inside you and then to develop them.
Yeah.
Because if you want to copy, for example, the master, you will not be better than the master. So it's better to find your own way.
Yeah, but do you think though that sometimes I've heard this said about the guitarist who wants to learn to play the guitar, or the drummer, or the golfer, or the cricketer? There comes a point where they study those masters to give them the clues, to give them the impetus, to give them the inspiration to move into doing their work, and in the end their style develops from that study.
Yeah, for example, you can see, Christopher Morris from 7 agency?
No, I don't. But
he used to be a war photographer, daily life, and now he is making fashion, for example.
Right.
So his way was really strange, but he find his way of photography when he in his 50s or something like
Mhm.
that. So what you need to really learn is, as I told you, to be humble, because sometimes some kind of people are finding their own style in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, very fast.
Mhm.
Other needs time. But I think that the beauty of photography is exploring photography, not
Yeah.
only going to the goal. Because if you want to, for example, I want to win the WordPress photo. Okay, I won the WordPress photo, but what will be the next?
Exactly. Yeah.
And the beauty is to still feel inside that this is your passion. You
Yeah.
feel everything.
I know what you're saying because I've just been watching on the television here Francis Rossi of Status Quo, and he was saying in the early days, and obviously it still happens now, they record the song, they present it on the concert, and he said, and we're on a high in the concert, and then of course it's the evening, a couple of drinks afterwards, and then he said, and we wake up in the morning and we think, what have I got to do next? He said, you've got to go again. You've got to make that next record. You've got to do that next concert. Get back on that high again. So, and it's the same really as you're saying there with photography. You know, you've made a great photograph. It's got an award. What do I do now? You go again. You know,
Yeah.
it's a cycle which we all get involved with in our love of photography. To be honest with you, it's so that's an interesting aspect. That's the way that you're presenting your workshops to the students, and you know, I hope you do come over to get something organised into London. I'd love to join you on one of those events.
Yeah,
So
I would
that
love to.
yeah, that basically again is another segue into your future plans. Your future plans, obviously, more workshops. But what about on the work front, on the commercial side of things? What's your plans there? More documentary work, for argument's sake.
Yeah, now I'm finishing my project, which I discovered doing the project in Szczecin. It's kind of side project,
Hmm.
but it's very important, and probably I will publish this project in January or February 2015.
Lovely.
Because now I'm ending, need to do editing, prepare, so a lot of stuff, but I think it can be really interesting because it has historical background from the Second World War.
Hmm.
So it is quite interesting and important to Polish people also.
And this is going to be a book, is it, or is it going to be an exhibition?
For sure, I would like to be an exhibition
Right.
with the big prints.
Nice one.
But yeah, but I think next year will show how all those things will develop.
Mm. Yeah, that's right. Something's just come to me actually, which I didn't give you in the pre-show, as I call it, but basically telling you what we're going to be talking about. Is there where would you like to go to do a project in the world? Where would you like to visit? And just sort of say, for argument's sake, let's set a scene. You want to go somewhere for say 3 months, and you want to take photographs and create a project there in that 3 months time. Where would you like to go?
Tokyo.
Really? That
Yeah.
surprised me you say Tokyo. I was thinking of somewhere like Cuba or South America or something like that.
Yeah, with Cuba, I've seen amazing project by Ernesto Bazan, for example,
Sure. Yeah.
or David Alan Harvey. With Tokyo also, there were a lot of interesting projects, but with the Tokyo, what is for me very important, that this is kind of my goal to continue theater of life.
Yeah. It's
So
interesting.
that's why I would like to go there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's right on the other side of the world for us, but it's an amazing place to go to. So we talked about this at the beginning of the show. I gave you the two options, which I give my guests now, whether to choose the one-word association with photographers, or we'll talk about your favorite photographer and your inspiration. So, and that was your choice. So, as things are at the moment, I know we all change these things. Oh, he's my favorite now. Who is your favorite photographer at this time and why?
So my favorite photographer used to be and still is Trent Park from
Right.
Maiden.
Now, I've only seen some of this guy's work, so Why does this guy capture your imagination, and he is your favorite? Why is that?
Because his images are playing with your imagination. I was listening to his interview, and he told that for him the most interesting images are those that are not so obvious, because this is the beauty when you are playing with the mind of the viewer.
Yes.
And he told this quote that light is something amazing because it's changing real life to something magical.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
this is the beauty of photography, because
Yes, it
in
is.
Latin translation, photography is painting with the light.
That's right.
So if you know how to use light with
Yeah.
really good quality and all the technical levels, then you can create amazing photography. And this is the beauty of transparent images, that you can look and all the time discover something new.
I'll have to start studying up on him. Haven't actually seen much of his work. Seen a few images, but must take some time to look him up a bit more. But then your inspiration, who would be the person that's inspired you the most? Now, this doesn't have to be a photographer. It could be a relative or whatever.
From photographers, I have a lot of inspirations, because, for example, when I was giving an interview to the Lens blog, I wanted to be my inspiration at Trent Park, but he couldn't send the image because he was somewhere in the forest in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So I took Joachim Ladefoget from Seven Agency. But nowadays I'm taking a lot of inspirations from the books, from movies, from music, because what I love with the books is that you need to imagine all the situations which are happening in the book.
Yeah.
And this develops your mind to, then you can place those images or imaginative images into the streets or
Yeah.
with the
Are
project.
these photographic books, or are you talking about on novels, so to speak?
Novels.
Novels. Yeah. Right. Okay. So your imagination is working through and putting yourself in a particular situation, and one
Yeah,
would assume that you're going out into the street with your camera to.
yeah. Because when I was younger, I really don't like reading books. It was kind of strange. I really loved walking, looking at movies.
Yeah.
But my teacher, my Polish teacher, told me to read one book. It was Gabriel Garcia Marquez,
Right.
100 Years of Loneliness, as I remember, if I'm good translating from
Yeah.
Polish to
Yeah.
English. And this book started that I was reading 10, 20 books a month, because it was like
It opened the door.
avalanche started.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I've been there with that. I don't read as much as I used to. I must be honest, but there was a period where I was doing exactly the same. I'd have a stack of 3 or 4 books waiting once I finished this book, and it was finish that, move on to the next one. That my family used to get amazed by me. Don't you give yourself time to think about what you've read? No, just go on to the next one. So that's interesting. But and another thing you mentioned there about music, do you in actual fact go around the streets listening to music while you're taking your photographs, or are you taking the atmosphere?
Sometimes I like to listen to music before going to a street. It gives me kind of mood. I think it is because I was dancing for 13 years, so
Right.
I cannot go without music, because all the times I hear something. But when you are on the street, I think it's very important to feel the vibe of the street.
Yeah, I agree.
How people are talking, the cars, everything, the birds.
Yeah.
So
I've done this the other way around actually. I used to walk around listening to music photographs, and you're right. Your style of photography is totally different by doing that. You don't take notice of what life is carrying on. I found I was more involved and more intrigued with architecture listening
yeah.
to music. So I wasn't watching the cars, I wasn't watching the people. I was more in tune with what the buildings look like, whatever city I was in. That's an interesting point you make there. What's your favorite type of music? This is interesting. On with your dancing, what's your favorite music?
I was dancing. I was dancing Latin American, like
Right. Okay.
cha-cha samba. But I really like listen to electronical music.
Right. Okay. So I
So
thought you were going to say jazz actually, but no,
jazz
electronics.
is also amazing, but classical music like Bach, Beethoven, Verdi.
Right. Okay.
So it depends on the mood, I could say.
Of course it does. Yeah. There's certain times where you can listen to Miles Davis, and there's times where you can't
Yeah.
listen to Miles Davis.
That's why sometimes you want to read this kind of book and you don't have this kind of feeling, and okay, I will take another one.
Yeah, exactly right. You put it down. That's what my wife says to me. How's the book going? Not very well. Put it down. Start another one. I'm not like that. I must try and finish it. I need to know what's going to happen in the end, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, that's true.
It's been great. Thomas, thank you so much for joining me today. It's especially after you've been working and doing your tutorial work.
No
Actually,
problem.
I wanted to say sorry we couldn't have a quick chat last night. I was involved in a critique session of some work, and I'll tell you about that later. Actually, I won't tell you live on the show.
Okay.
But yeah. So anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed my show this evening. Talking to Tomasz Lazar from Poland. Fascinating work. Superb website. All the links will be on the blog when I publish it over the weekend. It'll probably be up around about Monday or Tuesday time by the time I've done my editing. So and Thomas is going to send through some links of other interests, which will also be at the foot of the page when you get it, and obviously the link to this broadcast on the YouTube channel. So it's that time of the show, everyone. If you're going out tomorrow, leave your camera bag at home. All the best. Good night, everyone.
Bye.